Hi, Steve.
Hey, Jim.
So, have you thought a little bit more about your 2026 New Year vinyl resolutions?
I have because I think it's important that we concentrate on that to become better. And I'm not going to buy as many box sets. I'm going to purge, and I'm not going to spend as much money this year.
I'm sorry. Hang on. I, all right.
Hello and welcome to Two Guys Talking About Records, where it's New Year's. So we're all about New Year's resolutions and becoming a better human being for it. And, and, and I'm Steve, a record collector who sucks
And
at resolutions.
and my name's Jim, and I own a record store. And I apologize, Steve. I didn't mean to be insulting with that uncontrollable bout of laughter, but it seems like we've heard this before somewhere.
Sometimes, Jim, you have to take a practice run.
There we go.
You practice, and then you learn from your mistakes and you go, now I got it.
So, if anybody were to go back one full year and look at I don't know, a podcast episode of Two Guys from January of 2025, don't do that, folks. Just stick with this one. Or 25, you're
That's
saying
right.
that was the practice run, the entire year.
It was definitely a practice run, yes. Because this year, yeah, we got
We're
it.
really going to mean it this year. So, yeah, that's what this
Yeah.
episode is all about, folks. Steve and I are going to take that second run at New Year's resolutions, vinyl wise speaking. I mean, there's other resolutions. I want to eat better, be a better business. And I've got a couple of resolutions, I think, for the record store as well. Things that I'm trying to do here that apparently 25 was a practice run for me, just like 24 and 23 and 22 as well. Things to improve the store as well as my personal life and my personal collecting. We'll see how it goes this time around.
You bet.
But we'll get
Yep.
into them. And I would bet that we share those vinyl resolutions with a lot of other folks in the vinyl community and folks that watch our podcast and listen to the podcast.
Yes. But this year, we're going to be model collectors for them.
Model citizens of the VC is what you're trying to say. So,
Yes.
and after coming off of last week's announcement, too, as again, we'll kind of put that out there that we're part of the BLEAVE Podcast Network, which we're still very excited about and still kind of getting used to, and hopefully reaching some new folks out there. This is a great time for us to say we're going to make ourselves better. We're going to do this as collectors and do better. How's that sound?
It sounds wonderful.
Well, cool. So, as we get through the podcast today, we'll kind of cover some of those resolutions, both personally and on the store side for me as well. Plus, we've got a news item or two I want to talk about. Let's do that first this time around. Then we'll get to our pickups here in a little bit. But first and foremost, this was kind of a big one, and there was I don't want to say disinformation or misinformation out there, but I did see some misleading articles after I saw the first article, which said that MTV, music television in Europe, had shut down operations. They've ceased, I'll use the air quotes, broadcasting, because MTV never broadcast, so to speak. They were always a basic cable service, at least what I remember them. But then it started showing that, oh, well, no, all of MTV shut down, and that's not the case. It was MTV Europe that shut itself down. And my first reaction to that, Steve, be it MTV Europe, MTV in the US, or MTV worldwide, was really MTV's still a thing.
Yeah.
So,
When you sent me that, I tried to think, when's the last time I ever turned on MTV? And it's just because they didn't play any music. So
yeah,
I didn't care about reality shows.
that's the same thing here. I seriously cannot remember the last time I've actually watched MTV proper. It had to have been, I'm going to guess it had to have been in the 90s at some point, but prior to that, I have no idea when or where that would have been. I remember vividly watching MTV all the time in the mid to late 80s and maybe somewhat in the early 90s, but after that, it's like I stopped caring.
they just got away from music. I mean, if kind of the joke, music, television without the music.
They kept the logo. Well, here's the article. I've called up one here from let me get over to this. This is from a website, news website called Azer News, AZER News, January 4th. MTV ceases broadcasting in Europe. And 5 MTV, this is the other thing too. I hadn't realized this really my finger on the pulse of everything music-wise, isn't it, Steve? 5 MTV channels, which MTV Music, MTV 80s, MTV 90s, Club MTV, and MTV Live have stopped, again, broadcasting in Europe with quote marks there. The closures will first affect the UK and Ireland, then followed by France, Germany, Austria, Poland, and Hungary, and broadcasting will also end in Brazil and Australia. The main MTV HD channel will continue to operate in the United States, but its content will now focus primarily on reality shows and entertainment programs rather than music videos. I thought they did that decades ago.
Yeah.
So the reasons for this is basically streaming platforms, on-demand services, and things like YouTube really kind of cutting into what MTV did. So again, I'm not surprised. Well, the only thing again that's surprising is the fact that they were still doing that. But I also had no clue that MTV had splintered off. You know, it's bad when you're a music television channel and you have to create sub channels to show music videos.
Yeah. And times have changed. I mean, when you watched MTV, you were hoping that really the videos you wanted to see would come on. You know, you just
Yeah.
say, "Oh man, I hope they show it." Now, I mean, this for YouTube, key in your artist. Now suddenly I have 50 videos from them, anything I want. It really is the past. What's the purpose?
And you know, kudos to them for trying to stay relevant, but they did that switch to reality television heaviness before YouTube was really any kind of powerhouse, and probably, in fact, even before YouTube, if I try to recall. And I think that that's just kind of a very kind of commonplace that's happened in that era with a lot of those basic cable channels just diluting themselves from their primary purpose. Not to get too far off topic, but things like AMC, which stood for American Movie Classics, running reality television, the History Channel, for crying out loud, become UFOs Central, and you know, Cooking Channel, all of those. They've tried to take the big box approach to what their core thing was, which was we're going to show as much different stuff as possible and hope that something sticks and people like us. Where, you know, I don't mean to sound like an old fogey again here, Steve. Get off my lawn, but I was around for the advent of not only MTV, but cable television. I remember the excitement of what cable television was when it was actually a public utility. And then when MTV became a part of that, it was just kind of the greatest thing in the world. Yeah, here are the Stones. Here's all these other artists that we'd seen and heard about and listened to on vinyl. But now we can see them. We can see them performing, and I'll use the quotation marks performing, because one of my biggest memories was the Rolling Stones and Start Me Up, and just that really piss poor excuse for a music video where they couldn't even be bothered to lip sync correctly through the whole thing, but it was still cool.
Yeah, yeah. The world just keeps changing. Up, you know, a big part, obviously, for these stations is ratings. They look, oh well, this reality show. Did you see what that did versus what my music video? Well, we need to go that way so we get more advertising. I mean, it's all about the money, which is why we do it. So it changed with the times, and then you totally lose what what you originally started with. And you're right, cable television has changed so much with all of that. And all the shows, they keep branching off in new directions, and something sticks to the wall, and whoosh, let's go that route.
We can compare this, I think, directly to what you and I have talked about many times, the fact that, like with Record Store Day, for example, or any kind of gimmicky thing with a vinyl release. Like, well, if people didn't buy those, then they wouldn't make any more. And I think that's the same thing in this case. If people weren't watching any number of just brain dead reality shows, then they'd stop airing them. They'd stop putting them on their channels. But the fact is, people watch them just like people buy the kishy stuff that we see in records, and the big corporations. Well, people like them, so we better make more. We better flood the market with all this crap.
100% right. It goes with that, with the kishy stuff. It goes with pricing. People
Yep.
will
Oh yeah.
spend it. That's just
If
it.
they're going to do it.
That's just how it works.
And
Yes.
the other thing on this too is apparently cable television is still a thing. We unplugged from cable at home. Geez, I don't even know. It has to be a decade now plus. I saw the writing on the wall on that, and we just got rid of cable television. Of course, we use the cable company for internet access in our case, and I use that same thing. You can't even call it a cable company anymore. It's a media access company or an online platforming company or whatever it is they're calling them there. But cable television, I think, is now the lowest ring on whatever it is they offer as they go through here. And that's the same thing. So now what was once a cable television company is now offering internet access. They're now offering phone in addition to TV. So,
yeah. But with MTV Europe, kudos to them for the very last thing they played
yes.
was Video Killed the Radio Star. We began and we end with this.
I always thought, Steve, that the Buggles missed a golden opportunity here. I don't know if I think they're still around in some way, shape, or form. They should have made an updated music video and or song called Streaming Killed the Video Star at that point, because that would have been more apt for what happened to the likes of music TV and music television, MTV, is the fact that streaming did kill the music video channel.
So now what will kill streaming? Something will come up, something will happen. It'll disappear again.
I think it's going to be the brain implants that we'll all get. That'll be what they're working on next, I would imagine. So, well, MTV, so long. Been good to know you, but I haven't gone to you in many, many years and never planned to go back. So ultimately, whatever. But I'm still not going to discount the cultural impact it had on me, on my life, what we do, because that was such a great way to get music back in the day.
It was. It was highly influential, and if you didn't put out a video, nothing was going to happen. Probably with your music, you had to do it, and the amount of money that flowed into videos.
Oh yeah,
some people made a lot of money with that.
This is an interesting question to put forth here, though, Steve. Do you think that an artist like Madonna, now she in her own right put out some very important and influential music, never been a big fan, but I'm not going to say I disliked her music early on, would she have been as big of a star as she ended up being had it not been for MTV? And you could say that about any of the artists of that era in the early 80s to mid 80s. Would they have been as successful if they didn't have the look?
I don't think so, because it was about the look that was on the video. Look how the kids changed how they wore. The Madonna, all the girls dressing like Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson, that jacket,
Yep.
It influenced style, huge, and it created stars on people that maybe never would have done anything. But also you had to have the look, because if you just looked like some grumpy old man on there,
if you looked like just about any typical 70s rock star, you weren't going to make it.
Yeah.
Yes. Apologies to Neil Young and the like, but
yes, I mean you needed a good makeup artist.
Yep. So again, sayonara MTV. Thanks for all the music videos, but your time I think has come. So, hey, speaking of MTV and things that may no longer seem relevant, you mentioned on your channel that you watched the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Awards.
I haven't watched them in years, but I did this year. It was on ABC. It always has been on HBO for years, but now ABC took it. Everybody's trying to find something, because streaming has made it. But I taped it, and I probably missed about 70% of it because I fast forwarded just to what I wanted. I want to hear the groups play, and it was enjoyable. I liked it. I just don't when they go on blah 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 too long. But it was good. It was good to see some of these. White Stripes. Jack White was there. Meg was not. She couldn't make it. I don't know why. I would have liked to have seen her. I would have liked to have seen those two play. That would have been awesome. Bad Company. I think just the drummer was there. No one else. I don't know if they're all dead. Honestly, I think Paul Rogers is still alive.
I think so. Yeah, but that
All
was
right.
interesting. But
It could be health. I mean, a lot of these guys are old. Cyndi Lauper, she, was there, and it was pretty good because I could fast forward through all the commercials. I mean, it's half commercials anyway.
yeah, oh yeah, and then just the extra bloviating that goes on now. Very interesting. I want to point out, you said taped. Did you actually videotape this? Or did you have some sort of DVR?
That's true. You remember that? You're right. You put in the videotape. I'm going to videotape that.
Which, this is odd because I still have some videotapes somewhere in my basement. I have VHS tapes of MTV. Now that we've come full circle on this, I used to record music videos because I thought they were cool.
I had tons of those too. Flood took care of that.
Yeah.
But I think with the move, I would have looked at it eventually and go, nah, I don't even own a video player anymore.
Well, hey, speaking of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, this leads us into this week's pickups. I bring up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because obviously their connection to Rolling Stone and everything they've had that go into this. This is, we're going to hit our pickups here in just a second, Steve, but I forgot to show this last week. I did get a gift this Christmas from Kim in the form of a huge book called Record Covers, produced by the Taschen Publishers. The authors, I guess if you want to say authors, there's just a little bit of verbiage here and there discussing these. Robbie Bush, Jonathan Kirby, and Ed Julius Wiedemann put this huge book together on record covers. And it's cool. It is very cool. As you go through here, you see just a ton of record covers. But as I was reading this, after getting this for Christmas, I noticed something was off in this book, Steve. A glaring omission. And this is why I bring up Rolling Stone. These guys don't write for Rolling Stone, but I have a feeling that this was their resume material for Rolling Stone magazine. Can you guess what omission glaringly stood out to me in this book?
I rushed to judgment on that.
There was not a single Rush cover mentioned in this damn book. Not even Hugh Syme, who's done other work, but he did the Rush covers as well. I'm looking through this and I'm going, that can't be right. That's just not right. And I see in here they got Husker Du for crying out loud. There's of course the King Crimson and stuff. There's even a Charles Manson album cover in here, but they damn well couldn't put a single Rush cover in here. It's almost like Mr. Robbie Bush, Jonathan Kirby, and Ed Julius Wiedemann want to get picked up by Rolling Stone because of their proclivity for ignoring all things Rush.
Except, what's Rolling Stone anymore? So,
but this is still cool. I just had to, I had to kind of gripe about that because it's just so bizarre that they would leave something that big out. It's stuff in here that's so absolutely obscure. Mad Magazine covers as well, but no Rush. Okay, I don't mean to gripe.
How about Aha?
Aha. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Johnny Ace, AC/DC, and it's record covers A to Z. So if I missed it, I looked everywhere that I could really look.
Yeah.
AC/DC 1910. They start with the numbers. 1910 Fruit Company. Johnny Ace, Aesop's, Aerosmith. No Aha. I think.
All right. So don't feel too bad, Jim. They got screwed out too.
All right.
I used to have that book, but it came in a smaller version. That thing's big.
This thing's humongous.
It's much bigger than it used to be. Wow.
I'll still get some fun out of this. It's just that it I don't know, for as big as it is and as many covers as they do, they don't really tell much about anything about the covers. No. It's all visual. Even Bob Seger's in there and a Batman record, but couldn't put Fly By Night or 2112.
Yeah.
Any of those. So, All right. Well, that leads us to the pickups. Each and every week, Steve and I like to show off the new additions to our record collections. And I don't know, is this the time of year supposed to slow down after the holidays and the slow time in record sales typically here at a store like ours? But you've got a few things that have been coming in still, haven't you?
Yeah, slow
Uh-oh.
down. Well, the this time of year, all the different YouTube channels are putting on their best new albums of last year or their best pickup finds of last year. And
Yep.
I'm reading them, and then I have like an envelope. And for those that are just listening, on this envelope is scratched all kinds of this record album, that record album, and check this one out, check this one out, check this one out. And so yeah, it's a time where you can spend more money because you're finding out what you missed out. But my first, when I was down in Omaha last week at Homer's Record Store, which is the institution of all Omaha, and I picked up this Japanese artist, Mas Masayoshi Takanaka. Masayoshi Takanaka. And he is a jazz fusion guitarist. He has a lot of albums out. This came out in 1981. I am not a huge jazz fusion fan. It's pretty good. He is a very good guitarist. There's some vocals on here, but his guitar playing is very, very good. And I really enjoyed it. It comes with colored vinyl plus a colored EP and remastered vinyl cutting by Alex Wharton at Abbey Road Studios. So
All
I
right.
guess that's great.
Going to sound good.
And at Homer's, they have a bargain bin where they mark down, trying to move out product, which
Yep.
they had a lot they were doing. And kudos to that instead of letting it just sit there and whatever. JD McPherson is an album I bought. JD McPherson, rock. I just rock. Roots rock. I would put in there, and very cool
Oh,
colored vinyl. It's
neat
very
splatter.
swirly, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty neat. Night Owls is the name of JD McPherson's album. The previous one from Takanaka was called Alone. Sometimes I forget to do that.
Okay.
The cover art, they sent in an insert of the cover art that is autographed by the artist for like 200 of them. But considering this was on clearance, I guess it didn't do too well.
No.
This came out in 2023, so I'm sure that's a highly valuable piece of cover art that's autographed here. Then, the biggest surprise of all, and I was dared by a channel to buy this album of
no.
a guy named Martin Jones out of Detroit. And I picked up Marilyn Manson's a Marilyn Manson album from a couple years ago, and it is called One Assassination Under God. I guess I had a couple Marilyn Manson CDs, and it was like not my thing. But he's going on beautiful blood red vinyl. We'll say blood red because it's Marilyn Manson. But my buddy Martin, he goes, you have to listen to it. You just got to buy it. And it's very inexpensive. I think $16. So, which nowadays is inexpensive, folks.
Yeah.
So with much thought and trepidation, I bought it. And then it comes in and it's just sitting there for a while. But it's like, God, can I really listen to that? And I put it on. And damn, it's really good. I really, really like this. Now, there is a lyric sheet, and they have Marilyn Manson blindfolded. They make him look young, but you know what? This guy's old now, let's face it. But all the lyrics are on here. It looks like a newspaper. Yeah, such things as songs as One Assassination Under God, No Funeral Without Applause, A Sick as the Secrets Within, Sacrilegious, Meet Me in Purgatory, Death is Not a Costume, Sacrifice of the Mass, cool stuff like that. His lyrics, not for me, but the music on this was very good, and I don't hear lyrics. He did do the artwork on it, because every artist swears to God that they are a painter. It's like Bob Dylan. He puts out those paintings. I'm looking at, really?
Stick to the
That's
day job.
yeah, yeah. How much they bought it for that much? Really? But what do I know about art? Okay. Yes, Marilyn Manson, the artist, did this. Kind of has a Frankenstein-like front cover. So one assassination under God. I did like the music.
I
I
find it
thought
interesting that you say you had to be dared to buy that album.
yes, exactly.
I triple dog dare you, Steve.
Yeah. Then a couple others. Uh, the Tinkles. The Tinkles. I don't know. When I think of Tinkle, I just, for those of you who are a lot older, you go, I got a Tinkle, man. But these are the Tinkles. It's Zamrock. It is
Okay.
Zamrock. And the name of the album is Chalo Kuwama. There you go, Jim. Chalo Kuwama. Uh, it is Zamrock. It's from Zambia. It's from that time. It's a lot more soulful. Different than a lot of the other Zamrock that you would normally hear. The music was quite good. These guys could sing, they could play their instruments. It says this is the first Zamrock album ever released on the infamous Zambi Music Parlor, which was the first Zambian label that went out there. And then later, which Amanaz, Blackfoot all came from. And this is from the original Master Reels. I was very happy with this. It's just a group I wasn't familiar with, but I've been working on a thing on Zamrock, reading a lot, and go, the Tinkles. I mean, it doesn't even sound like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Tinkles. It just doesn't have the power, but cool record. Cool
Have
record.
you looked? Have you
And
looked
finally,
OGs up of that on Discogs to see if there's any other albums or
yeah,
if that's a valuable
it's
one?
500, 600.
Wow. Okay, so the
Medium.
reissue it is.
And that's just the medium, but not what they're selling for. So
Gotcha.
yes, it's another very hard one, which I do appreciate. These reissues coming out because makes it affordable. The final one I found off of Spotify or something. I think Bandcamp, and the group is called Glixen. Glixen, and it's She Only Said. Black vinyl, limited to 350 copies. What?
Okay.
We limited? It's a limited edition black vinyl album. So, I mean, who does that? I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel pretty honored to have that. Glixen, and it is truly black vinyl. I just wanted to prove that. They are a shoegaze band, and it is shoegazy dream pop type music. The artwork is very hazy, kind of dreamy, shoegazy, hard to see, whatever. It was pretty good. I mean, is it the best shoegaze out there? No, it is that mix of shoegaze and dream pop. It's all pushed in there. I liked it. Very atmospheric. Has a very nice sound to it. I mean, I've heard others that are better, but I'm not disappointed with it. I don't think it cost me a lot, but Glixen, She Only Said.
At that level of 350 pressed, could that have been a private pressing that they put out, or?
It might be. I bought it right off Bandcamp,
Okay,
so
then likely it
chances
is,
are a
yeah.
lot. Yeah, it very well could be. They had a few other colored variants that were sold out already, so I've been trying to pop into Bandcamp a little more to look at groups to see what's out there because there is so much good music being made that oftentimes we just don't know.
Okay. Good set of pickups. I only have a few this week, so Steve. But first off, I need to, for those that are on the video side of things, I need to show something off. This, Steve, I've known you for a long time, and this is the second year in a row During the Christmas holiday season, Steve cannot just send a normal Christmas card out to people. He has to put some artwork on an album stiffener insert, a cardboard piece, to go along with this piece of VLCT from Steve and the band The Power of Zeus, the Gospel According to Zeus. Michigan stuff, Steve, you sent me. Thank you again for this very much. Along the way, this was a Record Store Day release from 2019, I believe. Did I read that correctly? 2019
for the reissue.
Yeah, for the reissue.
Yeah.
Originally, this one came out in it's a Detroit band from 1970. I think was the original issue of that. This thing, Steve, I know you have one too, but this just absolutely kicks out rock. This thing is so cool, and it's got that. We've talked before about my feelings on the Michigan rock of that era. It's got that flavor to it that is Detroit acid rock, but not quite. And I was really kind of impressed, too, that this came from the Mr. Bongo label, but they included and kept the Rare Earth original artwork labels on here, too. So these guys, their only album they signed with Rare Earth Records, which was the offshoot of Motown, attempting to not be strictly Motown. And, obviously Rare Earth was at the head end of that. But then I had to go back and do some research on this. The original name of the group was Gangrene. Again, a very kind of post-punk-ish acid rock group from Detroit. But when they were signed by Rare Earth and under Motown, they said they had to change their name because for whatever reason, they didn't like Gangrene as a good Rare Earth product to come out from there. So, but thank you again. The Power of Zeus, very one-off album from them. They did a live one. I think it was reissued in 2014 or something like that. This one, folks, I'm going to have to steer you to looking up yourself on the likes of YouTube, because I looked on Spotify already. No sound samples from this for our playlist this week. There's a live one out there, but this one, I mean, this really does kick all sorts of A on the rock side. Yeah. So thank you again for that, Steve. All right. Secondly, this, I'm going to call this a pickup. I've had this for a while and have been bouncing around back and forth whether or not I wanted to add it to the collection, because here's getting into our resolution, Steve. I already have a copy of this. Did I need another copy of the Police and their Ghost in the Machine album? And the answer to that is yes, because this is one of the audiophile versions coming from Nautilus Recordings, one of their super disc recordings of this. So the Nautilus records are they're half-speed mastered, so it's that, I don't want to call it the high end, but it's almost like a mid-range audiophile from the 80s that came through, except this one, was this 1981? Yep, 1981. So it was released on this high-fidelity label from Nautilus as the same year as the original release. Ghost in the Machine is my favorite Police album, and the only other copy I have is I've got a UK version of it that's in really nice shape too. So I gave this a listen, and it sounds absolutely fantastic still after all these years. It was kept in very good condition. It's got the Nautilus insert, or it's got the insert rather, and some of the Nautilus stuff. My only complaint with and to some extent, mobile fidelity of that era, 70s and 80s MoFi, but the Nautilus and other attempts at the high fidelity pressings of this era, is the fact that they altered the covers tremendously to include their branding. I get it, but it really, in the instance of Ghost in the Machine, the banner up across the top that says Nautilus Super Discs, listen to the difference, really interferes with the intent of the artwork on albums like this. Yeah. They could just as easily have put that on the back to make it less intrusive. But I'll put this out there again. We hear it all the time. You don't listen to the covers. You don't listen. But the cover is a big part of it for me. But this is one of those albums that I just enjoy the sound of. And this audiophile version from Nautilus sounds absolutely great. So good welcome addition to the collection.
Are you going to get rid of your other one, or are you keeping them both?
No, I'm going to keep them both, because the other one I've got, okay. We need to do an episode down the line of secondary completists collections.
Oh, God.
Because something like the Police, they don't have a tremendously deep catalog of studio albums. So it's easy to collect all of them. Well, I have got all of the Police albums in a UK version of all of them. So that's going to be kept together down the line.
Okay.
So yes, I'm just going to keep that. But secondary complete. Now, finally, my pickup this week, Steve. Don't laugh at me. We're starting the year off odd. I have got a KTEL compilation called Goofy Greats.
Okay.
Now, I used to own this before I was a record collector, and by that I mean as a child. So
Yeah.
sometime in the 1970s, it had to be 75 or later, I had a copy of this when I was a kid, probably 12 years old, through there. And I played the heck out of this. So I had a copy come through the store that was in absolutely fantastic condition. And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to just keep this for old time. I've got a grandkid now, Steve, so this will come into play. I don't know if I'm being allowed to play some of these, though. This era of compilation, especially from the KTEL albums, they put out Dumb Ditties and a couple of these other ones where they took novelty songs and put them together on an album. Some of them, by today's standards, 50 years later, are, I think, would be called politically incorrect. So, good way to put it. Okay, Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini by Brian Hyland. That's a very novelty tune. But then you get into stuff like Alley Oop, or more importantly, let's see, Chewy from the Ohio Express, the Trashmen around here. A lot of garage rock, early garage rock. They didn't know what to do with it in the 70s. The Tokens, Trashmen, Ohio Express. So you get some bubblegum pop. The Fendermen doing Muleskin or Blues, but then you get into a Ray Stevens song called Ahab the Arab. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much today. Then you've got Mr. Custer by Larry Verne, which retells the battle that killed General Custer. Again, probably not very politically correct to listen to those as well. But this one's a childhood memory for me, so I'm going to bring it in and keep it and enjoy it when no one else is in the store.
Good old KTEL Records, man. Yep. That's how you...
And this wasn't one of the reissues. This is early. Let me show the label. It goes right back to the old KTEL International label. So
Nice.
it is those early versions of that. And I've seen many reissues of this come through. And these are always beat up. So if, like when I was a kid, I played the heck out of it on an old suitcase player from the 70s. So to find one in good condition, it's not worth a ton of money, but it's just kind of fun.
Yeah. Memories.
Indeed. Well, as we do each and every week, folks, I'll put together a Spotify playlist so you can listen in on most of the stuff that we talk about today. Not everything's on there, obviously. I mentioned that the Power of Zeus is going to be absent, so you may have to do some digging for that. And sometimes some of Steve's get to be a little more difficult to find as well. Yeah. So, but we'll put them on there. You can find the playlist in the description of both the Spotify episode, the BLEAVE episode. It's on there as well. If you go to BLEAV.com, BLEAV.com, you'll see the description there with a link, and it will be linked in the YouTube description as well. So you can listen to these at your leisure. All right, Steve, are you ready to tackle 2026 in the most responsible way possible as a record collector?
I think so. Now, I did some, New Year's resolutions. I've never been a big one for them just because, after 1 week, I forgot what the hell it even was. So this year, for instance, even my first personal one, I decided I'm going to do a resolution that I feel that I can maintain, that I can do the whole year. And my first personal one is I'm going to speed every day. Now, if I'm at home, that means at 8:00 at night, I suddenly have to run out and drive around the neighborhood 5 miles faster. I don't care. I know I can keep this and be able to do it. So that's my personal one. I thought about eating a candy bar every day, but that's not doing me any good.
I think you're thinking about these in the opposite way that the resolutions are intended, Steve. A candy bar. I've seen your personal Facebook posts. Maybe you could put some green vegetables on a plate once in a while, and that would be more resolution worthy.
I'd rather go Jalapenos are green.
Okay,
You
I'll
gotta
give you
give me
that. All right. So, okay, if you're going to be that responsible on the personal side, what hope does the record collecting side of your resolutions have?
Oh God, Jim, man. Well, I will say this. My very first one I had last year. I'm going to purge.
Yep.
Didn't happen. But starting already, just a day ago, maybe 2 days ago, I started the purge. I went into my first square here. I have the Calyx systems,
Yep.
so I went into my first square and I looked at everything and I pulled out 13 albums that I really haven't listened to. And then I put each of the 13 on and began to listen to parts of them. I wasn't going to listen to the whole thing because I'm trying to do this before I die. So, and from there I began, okay, I don't think I need that. Nope, I'm probably not going to listen to that. And I began to weed, and I wound up, having 9 of the 13 that I'm going to have to get rid of, that I
Okay.
feel. Um, some of these classic rock, I mean, there's Allman Brothers. I don't need all the Allman Brothers. Honestly, I need the one live album they did. Uh, a greatest hits would take care of me for the most part. But then there's some other stuff that, okay, just not going to be for me. I went into another cube. I decided, okay, I started A. I thought, you know what? I need to go to the cubes that I can't get any more records into. Maybe I need to do those first. So I wound up, I went into one and I pulled out 7 albums, and 4 of the 7 I want to get rid of. And maybe a fifth one. I'm really on the fence. And this is difficult because you're listening, go, what happens if someday I want to listen to it?
Yeah.
Well, there is a thing called streaming.
Yeah.
I've heard of it,
Yes.
but it's that physical media that we like.
Yep.
I mean, when you're real big vinyl collectors, streaming's just not as fun. And so you like to have the physical media. But there's a couple of things. There was a shoegaze one. I really like shoegaze, but I haven't reached for it for a lot of them I haven't reached for a long time because you keep getting into new stuff. I mean, let's be honest. But I am getting going on this, and I'm trying to make these hard decisions on what to get rid of. And then once I do that, how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And to not lose, you always were very good. You would give a fair price, and I also appreciate that, but that's not generally the case. I talked to one guy. He uses Facebook Marketplace. He
Yep.
goes, he's had pretty good luck because here's what I'm going to sell it for, and people will try to wheel and deal, but guess what? He's getting more on what he feels that value should be for that.
Than you would at
You
a
could go,
record store on a trade-in or something of that
yeah.
nature.
And Discogs, well, then I got to do the shipping. I got to do everything else with it. So I haven't figured that part out, but it has begun. So resolution number 1, Jim, I'm on the way.
You're going to hold through that. I thought of something while you were talking about that, and we've talked before about when you're looking to buy new vinyl, there's this thing called FOMO, the fear of missing out. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
get this because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to get this again down the line. Maybe with the purge type of stuff in this resolution, we could just call it foam, fear of missing.
Yes,
If I don't
that's
have
good.
this, will I miss this down the line? And
Yes.
I go through that too. It's the idea of a purge. I mean, it's good in as a resolution, and it's good to kind of think about as a collector. A lot different for you than it is for me. And my personal collection is my personal collection, but at the same time, I'm sitting here in the store and I look around and we don't do consignments, so technically speaking, this is all my collection. It's just that the
Yeah.
majority of it is already got price tags on them. So it's a little
Mm-hmm.
easier for me to say I haven't listened to this in a while. I don't have to worry about trading it or putting it out on Marketplace or even Discogs because I stopped doing that. I slap a price tag on it and put it on the shelf. Now,
Yeah.
here's my secret on that, Steve, too. And I think we've talked about this before. If there's an album that I'm unsure of, do I want to keep this? Do I not want to keep it? I'll put it. Here's a little secret, folks. And some of your record store owners are probably doing this to you and you don't realize it. I just inflate the price by about $5 or $10. And if it sells, then it sells. If not, well, it didn't sell. I guess I better keep it. So that's a dirty trick. I'm sorry to say, but I'm sure other folks do that too.
Yeah, it's usually the albums I want, I think. So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that explains a
Why is
lot.
this $30? It's a $10
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
But Jim
Explains a
doesn't want to
whole
get rid
lot,
of it.
Jim.
So
Oh,
it's a good resolution to have. And as the one thing I think is notable, if for folks that have been watching and listening to our podcast for a while, we start each show off by showing off the most recent pickups. And on average, mine are about 2 or 3 a week. Yours vary from 2 to 10. It feels like sometimes,
yeah.
but with that much intake, you've got to have some output, some going out the door at the same time if you're going to maintain reasonable numbers or at least sanity in some case. And for you, it's all about storage and eventually
It
moving.
is. It never, at one time in my life, it wasn't. When you had two giant rooms, man, but I was packing them up. Now it is. And also, we get older. We had that episode where we talked about, how much can you listen to
Yep.
before you die?
Yep.
And so you really got to think more through this and go, okay, what do I really need?
So this year, I mean, we're only less than a week into the new year, and already your first and quite possibly biggest resolution for collecting is already in works, and you're working toward that. So kudos to you on that. Good luck.
Yep, thank you. I got to try and get done before pool season starts. So we got
That's
to push.
true. Now, what about box sets? This has always been a sticky point for you, especially in 25.
Yep. My goal this year is I'm not going to buy any box sets because I don't have any room. I know that's not going to happen because 50 years, we hit these 50-year anniversaries.
Yep.
And we are now into the punk era. And so they're going to come out with something that's just going to make me want to. I mean, Talking Heads already started, and I bought both of those. It's harder for me to purge a box set, though I don't listen to them nearly as much. I mean, that's just the craziest thing. I mean, I don't know how often I just don't grab them down to put them on. And yet I have a harder time purging them because they're just damn cool.
Well, it's all of the goodies that come along with them too. Box sets
Yeah.
are so difficult to say I'm going to play this because then you've got to take it out of the box, you've got to move around, you got to get the book out of the way. A lot of times, some of these will have trifold inners or something like that. And I know that's first world problems we're talking about. Oh no, Jim's got to take it out of a box, but sometimes when
That's right.
yeah. Yeah, it becomes a little bit more when I can just pull out the original album and throw it on a little easier. But
I talked to one collector. He says on his box sets, he takes all the albums out, puts them in sleeves, and puts them into his regular, cubes. And that way they're easy to access and to play.
Yep.
Makes sense, but then takes just more room up in there. So, well, I need to look at them, but I'm going to have a harder time getting rid of them because it really is neat. But I do know there's no doubt that there's going to be some cool box sets coming out because companies make a lot of money off them. I mean, they're highly profitable.
You look at the 50-year mark, it's going to be 1976. And you mentioned punk, but that was also a great time for a lot of early hard rock, some early metal stuff coming through there. It's going to be a big year, I think, for 50th anniversary sets coming out. 74 and 75 were big, but 76 is also going to be a pivotal year because of the expansion, if you will, of other genres like punk that you'd mentioned.
Yeah, I think Boston came out in 76. Yeah. The first one. Yeah, we will see what happens with this. We know there won't be a 50th Pink Floyd one yet. Or when did Animals? That was 77.
Animals, I think, was 77. I'll have to go back and look, but that's the next one in line for there. And then Rush's 50th stuff, we're heading into some of their early prog. So I don't think we have to worry about other 50-year anniversaries from Rush yet, for me at least. But the Floyd is always going to be a possibility. But we haven't seen a ton of these. And I don't know, maybe there have been out there, some like for the Rolling Stones where they'll put out big stuff. The Beatles, very limited catalog, but they just released all the anthology stuff. the fourth version of that last year. So it'll be interesting to see what is put out there on the anniversary plate, if you will, for this coming year. And
Hmm.
we'll call this, how about we call this a provisional resolution, because you
Yeah.
have to, you say, I'm not going to buy any more box sets until I know what they're coming out with.
Yes. Exactly right.
But I'm going to be in the same boat with you. But I've always been, I think, a little more reserved with box sets. I stick to just the absolutes that I know I'm going to go to, or that I know I want to have in the collection.
Yeah. Yep. Well, they just got quit surprising me with stuff. They go, oh my.
Now, earlier in the pickups, you mentioned you were dared to buy an album. And I know that the vinyl community and a lot of the other channels, you really keep your finger on those, and that leads to a lot of you. It's kind of replaced the blind buy of sorts, but you get a little taste and a little
Hmm.
critique from the other channels, and that leads you to a whole lot of stuff coming in. Is that something that
Correct.
you think you want to curb back a little bit, or is that just part of the game and the fun for you is finding this new music through these other channels, and that's going to be a big part of your year regardless?
I think that's always going to be a big part for me. It is, I get my enjoyment from this new music. I really don't, unless it's something I really want. When I look back at classics and stuff like, that, if it's a certain genre, for the most part, I want to see what's new and what's coming out, which can lead me down to other rap rabbit holes. I'd been buying a lot of garage rock
Yep.
lately, out of the '80s, so I was going back, but that was a genre. But there's certain groups. I recently shown you that Ships album, SHJIPS.
Yep.
I really liked this, and now there's this other music, and they have these. I just bought in uh, a split, break off from them, husband and wife. They did Moon Duel. I just got that in. I haven't shown it yet, but it's like, oh my god, this is so good. So you do find that, and yeah, it gets you moving. But part of the reason I watch these, especially I like channels that show a lot of new stuff. I don't really need to see all the '60s and '70s, quite honestly. I mean, so what? What is happening out there with music? And uh, yeah, yeah, that's still going to be it for a big part for me, Jim.
Okay. Well, on the personal side for me, the resolutions I think they mirror yours, just to be a little bit more responsible in what we're bringing in. I want to make sure it's stuff that I'm going to listen to, stuff that I'm going to want to enjoy, stuff that I want to hold on to.
Hmm.
I've already kind of covered the purge on my side. If I feel it, if I'm not feeling it, it can go out to the store. But on the store side of things, I mentioned that my resolution for 26 is probably going to be about the same as 25, and that is to just try to maintain what we've got going on here at the store. But this is made a little bit different, Stephen. And I'm trying to remember when this was, but it's probably been about 2 years now since I've had a major purchase, a major collection purchase. And I'm talking in the thousands of records. I've had handfuls come in 50, 60 at a time already this year. We're only 1 week in, and I've already had that happen. And at the late last part of last year, obviously, with that little bit of metal that came in. But I'm not looking for huge collections. I had one that I was, let's say, I think I told you about this. I was in the bidding for, and I never heard
Yeah.
back. So and this one was probably about 12,000 records. So it was, I think, a little bit out of my league. But that would have been a big major purchase. So shy of having any major purchases here at the store, I need to start going through my back room. And because typically what happens is when I get these big collections, I'd go through them, I'd pick out the cream of the crop, and that's what gets out onto the floor. And the rest of the stuff, which is maybe common or odd, gets pushed back. Now, there are times, and I've talked about this before, where when I get back to some of these boxes that I'm trying to get to, I'll be surprised on, maybe I missed
Hmm.
something big in there, or something I didn't realize. So there's always that fun of discovery for me and say, oh, this is cool. I need to get that out there. But this year, I really, really need to make a more concerted effort to get to some of these boxes that I've been sitting on for a year or two and begin moving some of that product here through the store a little more efficiently. And I can do that by not bringing in 2,000 or 3,000 album collection. So I'm good there, but that's the big one for me store wise.
Well, Jim, I went through our last year's resolutions, and well, that was on your list last year. I
Oh,
just want to
was
point
it?
that out.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, much like your
But
purge, then.
also, you had this one. You said you wanted to be more cognizant on what is a grail as far as purchasing it, and
Yeah.
then you showed this picture of a Rush album called Vapor Trails,
Yep.
and go, this to me would be a grail, and you did it.
I did. That was much more cognizant. And plus, I waited till pretty much the end of the year to bring that thing in.
Yeah, just so you could check that off your resolution list. That was
There we go.
excellent.
So
Yes.
that's another good one. I think I will be more cognizant. Truthfully, Steve, there's not a lot of grail worthy albums out there for me. And there's one or two that I would spring upon, but they sit in the $1,000+ range. So that's not anything that I'm going to jump on tremendously easily, something like an index record or something like that.
Yeah.
So nothing that I'm going to say I'm going to be sad if I don't get one, because I'm not willing to drop that much change on something just yet. Maybe someday, but maybe if I clean out the back room enough, I can get something like that.
Well, the grails, I'm with you. Last year I did talk about grails having a hard time. Do I really need anything?
Yep.
Of course, then it's been more new music for me than a lot of the older stuff, but I will just go in and there it is on the wall. And suddenly, God, I really would like to have that.
It's
An
calling
OG.
to you. It's calling to
Mhm.
you.
Yes, the light shines upon it, like, and it was like that guitar in Wayne's
Yes.
World. You come in and he goes in the record store. There's the light shining on it. Da. Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
Well,
So I'll continue to find that stuff.
I said, don't pigeonhole yourself into saying, I'm not going to get that grail, and then you find one, because then we can't count it next year.
Yeah, exactly. No, that will always be, considering, I do all these record store tours, so there's a lot of temptation that happens in those,
Yes.
and you go, God, I may never see it again. So
Well,
we'll see.
much like 25, we now have 12 months to see if 2026 plays out to our expectations laid out here with the new vinyl resolutions. And we'll kind of see how we do in a year, Steve. How's that sound?
That sounds good. And as soon as we're done with this broadcast, I am going to jump in my car and go and speed around the block again and get that out of my way for the day.
Get a jalapeno while you're at it.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, what about you? Do you have some New Year resolutions, vinyl-wise, that you wish to kind of throw out there and say you're going to adhere to? Or if you have the power and the strength of your inner monologues that keeps you to task, can you actually hold true to it? Much like we're going to attempt to try here. But let us know in the comments, please, if there's something that you're really looking forward to doing or not doing collectible-wise with your records this year. Let us know, please. But as always, Steve, I'm looking forward to the next 12 months, regardless of whether we hold to these or not. It's always fun to do.
Yes, it is. No matter what, you know what? It'll be another great year. Be more great new music coming out, and yes, we will find those. Wow, kind of albums.
Could not resist. So, okay, folks, until next week, you have been watching and listening to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast. And as always, it is we are very thankful, rather, to have you here with us each and every week. So until next time, my name is Jim, and I own a record store.
I am Steve, and I own a record collection.
All right. Happy New Year again, Steve. Here's to another great 12.
Hey, same to you, Jim. Happy New Year. Same to everyone else, and have a great one. Bye.